Hi, my name is Lindsay, and welcome to the Top Hat orientation video for creating a click on target question. To create a click on target question, first start by clicking the Create button underneath the Questions module heading. You will then be provided with the 6 different question styles that are available to you. It should be noted that the click on target question is somewhat unique in the technology that is required for such a question. For that reason, students who are submitting by SMS text message will be unable to respond to this question type. We do recommend that you save it for use outside of the lecture hall, perhaps for homework, when you know your students will all have access to a computer, tablet, or smartphone device. To create this style of question, simply click on the bubble next to the Click on Target Question style and then select Next. You will be provided with the framework in which to build your question. To start with, we'll come up with a title. Again, we recommend a naming convention, something that makes sense for the way you organize your semester, as well identifying the question as well as when you'd like to ask this question. For instance, Homework 1, Question 1. In this next box here, you will go ahead and type in the question you want to ask your students. This being a click on target question, I'm going to direct my students to click on a specific target as outlined in an image that I will upload here in a moment. Speaking of that image, here's the time. We are going to go ahead and upload an image from our computer that we would like our students to identify something within. Once we have uploaded the image here, our next step is to identify the target that we would like our students to identify. In this case, I've asked my students to click on the heart, so I'm going to go ahead and make that their target. I can enlarge this circle to include the entire heart, as you can see, using the plus sign to enlarge it. That's a little bit too large in this case, so I'm going to use the negative sign to go ahead and make it a little bit smaller so it encompasses just the perimeter that I'd like to include for the heart. Down below here, it shows us the number of clicks that our students can have when they answer this question. In a question such as this, where it is a question that has a correct answer, I'll likely go ahead and allow my students just 1 click for this question. However, if this was a question, maybe a polling style question, where I'd like to probe my students, perhaps asking a question such as, what 3 countries in the world would they most like to visit, and have them click on those 3 countries on a map, I might go ahead and bump that up to 3 clicks. Again, you can choose to build this question in a manner that makes the most sense to you based on what you're trying to get from your students. This next prompt here says activate question immediately after creation. In most instances, you will likely want to ensure that that box is not checked off, because what you'll probably want to do is create these questions ahead of time and then assign them to your students as homework or ask them in class at a later date. Going ahead and proceeding with the advanced settings here, on the right-hand side, you will see the grading options for this question. By default, these are set at half a mark each, but you can assign them to be anything you want. They don't have to add up to 1, and they can equal 0. For example, in this instance here, a student who responded incorrectly, in essence, clicked on an area outside of the target that we have assigned, they would get 1 point just for having participated and answered the question. However, a student who clicked within that bright red target that we have identified and accurately identified the heart, they would, of course, receive 5 points for having responded correctly. You can also choose to set a timer for these questions. However, as I alluded to previously, you're likely going to want to assign these questions for your students for homework, just to ensure that all of your students have the same opportunity in which to respond to the question. In that case, of course, the timer will not be necessary. You can also go ahead and deselect the box next to question has a correct answer to create a polling style question if you'd like. Lastly, you can choose to set a question as anonymous if you'd like. Anonymous style questions are exactly that. Students will respond to the questions. You will be able to see the overall results of that question. However, you will have no way of identifying students by their responses or being able to identify if a student even responded to a question. For that reason, when it comes to anonymous questioning, there is no grading associated with these questions whatsoever. When you're finished creating your question, simply click the Save button and the question will appear underneath the Questions module heading in your dashboard. Next to each one of the questions, you will see a binder or notebook, and upon clicking on that, you will be able to display the 5 statuses that are available for you for each of your questions. We are currently in the closed status, meaning that the question is inactive and not available for our students in any way. The Ask and Show statuses at the top are used primarily inside the lecture hall when asking your students questions in class. The Homework and Review statuses are primarily used outside of the lecture hall, assigning questions to your students for homework or giving them an opportunity to review in preparation for exams. As I previously mentioned, these Click on Target questions will be unavailable for your students responding by SMS text message. And for that reason, I recommend that you save these questions for homework, placing these questions in the homework status. Let's take a moment now to view how this is going to appear for your students. Here on the student screen, the students will be able to see that they have homework assigned for them. They'll be able to open up that homework. They'll be able to see the prompt in regards to what they are supposed to click on. In this case, the heart. The student will click on the heart or the region they believe to include the heart and submit their answer. The students will also receive confirmation of the answer in which they submitted. We'll now return to the professor's view. Let's say, for instance, that you assign this question to your students for homework over the weekend. When Monday morning rolls around and you return to the lecture hall, you might want to show the results to your students. To do so, you simply need to change the status of this question. We were in the homework status over the weekend, but now Monday morning, maybe we want to transition that to the show status so we can make the question visible to our students, but not allow them the opportunity to change their answer. The first thing I'm going to do is ensure that I magnify this and stretch it full screen. You can see up at the top that we had 4 submissions to this question. And if we follow that blue bar across at the top, it'll show us that 100% of our online students have responded. We can also click on that to toggle it to the enrolled status, showing us that 80% of our students who are enrolled in the course submitted an answer to this question. You can simply click on the reports. It's not the graph that's exciting for us with the Click on Target question, it's the heat map. So you can go ahead and click on the heat map to display that. And as you can see and share with your students if you wish, on the image you will be able to see where your students clicked with the warmer colors identifying the most clicked upon regions. For this example, you can see that 3 of our 4 students clicked on the heart and 1 outlier clicked on the liver. For your visual learners, you can even choose to show the correct answer. You can use these results to engage in a conversation with your students, and when you're finished, you can simply click the Close button to close the question. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you require further assistance, we can always be reached at support@tophat.com. Happy top hatting!